When you think about it, first-person shooters tend to have a bit of an image problem, and I don't mean that as in they can be quite grating to look at, it's more of just the fact that they tend to blend together. I mean, think about it this way, Battlefield, Call of Duty share a lot of ground, Destiny and Halo were made by the same people, and then you've got people who are doing stuff like Titanfall mixed in, and you get games like Call of Duty where they go into the future and then they go into the past. Same with Battlefield, we're going to World War I, we're going to World War II, Vietnam, space, it's all over the place. The reason I'm bringing this up in particular at the beginning of this video is because the game I'm about to talk about really doesn't fit the mold of most first-person shooters. There are some games which are similar, like Rage or Fallout, but they're distinct enough to not really be the same, especially with the geographical location of where the story takes place. That game is Metro 2033, a game set in post-apocalyptic Moscow, where humanity isn't doing very well. The story of Metro 2033 is based on the highly successful book series of the same name by Dmitry Glukhovsky. We play as Artyom, a 20-year-old inhabitant of the metro station Exhibition who was born before the nuclear apocalypse. Moscow in its entirety is engulfed in a nuclear winter, with all of the human survivors finding refuge in the underground metro train system. The entire society divides itself into various ideologies, factions and stations, as various connecting tunnels and pathways collapse, become occupied by bandits, or even infested by mutated creatures. However, one mutated species in particular is on the verge of completely destroying Exhibition Station. The Dark Ones. They kind of look like skinny L-cores from Mass Effect. Only a little bit. A mysterious race of creatures with telepathic abilities which seem to have been eroding the minds of Exhibition's patrols. We start the game being woken up by Artyom's father, Alex, who also runs Exhibition Station. We head to the airlock leading to the so-called Dead City outside and meet with Hunter, a ranger from Police Station who happens to be Alex's old friend. Not long after Hunter's arrival, the station is attacked by rabid creatures known as Nosalises, which we kill with the help of Hunter. After killing the threat, we are told that the outer guard post has been destroyed by the Dark Ones. Artyom, Hunter and Alex rush to the guard post to find corpses and broken men strewn around the wreckage. Hunter leaves to investigate the Dark Ones and tells Artyom that if he's not back by morning, he has to deliver a message to Police Station, the home of the elite Metro Rangers known as the Spartans. After a good night's sleep, we pick up our gear and head out into the Metro. Now with that said, let's talk about the gameplay. Being a first-person shooter, Metro 2033 has a lot of familiar tropes and mechanics. We got our aiming down the sight, sprinting, stealth kills, thrown weapons like grenades, etc. But what I like about the gameplay is the tone. Ammunition is scarce and the game's adversaries lurk in dark tunnels, dilapidated buildings, and murky dead ends, so you have to be careful how much ammo you use. Not only that, but there are also various modes you can play which vary the amount of resources you can scavenge, damage you can deal, and even my favourite option, which disables the HUD elements so you can't see how much ammo you're carrying or what's in your weapon clip. It adds a ton to the immersive atmosphere of the game, and for this playthrough specifically, I also limited the number of weapons I could carry to just 2, making the game more challenging overall. Various store vendors will buy, sell or customise your gear such as medkits, ammo or weapon parts, but the game tends to space them out so you don't get too comfortable during your playthrough. Add to that the fact that there are weapons ranging from revolvers, shotguns, assault rifles, and even pneumatic weapons which, although powerful, need to be regularly repressurized to sustain damage potential. Oh, and you'll like this bit. The currency. Military grade ammo is the best ammo in the game. It sets enemies on fire, deals a ton of damage, and is only usable with assault rifles. The catch is, this ammo is also what buys all of your equipment, pays for your medkits, and even the jukebox. Therefore, sometimes you need to balance firepower with sustainability, especially if you're a fan of the AK-47 and have to consider whether to resort to military ammo or its dirty ammo counterpart. Though for me, I tend to be a good shot and Scrooge, so I ended the game with this much. Yeah. Though if you're not the best shot, there's also another way to play the game. Stealth. Our first companion in our travels, Bourbon, shows us the ropes of skulking in the dark due to his shady past as we run into our first encounter with bandits. He teaches us to snuff out the light, watch out for tripwires, avoid stepping on broken glass or crumbling materials, and using throwing knives to hunt our prey. If you're subtle enough, you'll be able to eliminate all threats in the area, and even bag some handy ammo bundles, find some locked goodies, and even steal some useful weapons. Plus, you won't always necessarily be against human adversaries, and especially on the library level where you find these big gorilla-like bullet sponges, being able to sneak around is crucial. And speaking of companions, I really love how this game shows off such a variety of characters, each with their own goals and motivations. And as they accompany you through the game, you really get a sense of how the Metro works, and each character fleshes out different approaches to living in a post-apocalyptic world under the ground with a bunch of trains. Bourbon is probably my favourite, as he's in a lot of ways your mentor who hides a gritty past. His demeanour is gruff, but there are genuine moments where he shows his want to protect Artyom and ensure his safety. Later we meet Khan, a mysterious man who's not letting on as much as he knows and is keeping a lot of secrets. He's almost like a post-apocalyptic gypsy wizard who parts the literal spectres of the past from our path and explains the more unsettling characteristics of the haunted sections of the Metro. Then finally we team up with various members of the Rangers, such as Pavel, Ullman and Colonel Miller. No, not that one. Sometimes these allies help break up the gameplay by enabling vehicle segments or assaults on key objectives. For example, bask in the glory of my combat acumen. Now, depending on how you act, there are a couple of endings you can achieve at the end of the game. You see, as cryptic as the Dark Ones are, we begin to understand that maybe they're not just trying to kill people for the sake of it. Khan alludes to a peaceful resolution with them, whereas Colonel Miller and the Spartans, when we relay the message, think the best method to deal with the problem is to find plans for a long-abandoned missile silo, so that we can destroy the Dark One's home with a guided missile strike. With the Colonel's help, we make our way to and climb the old Ostankino Tower, and set up the missile targeting console, and are confronted by the Dark Ones. Considering we're trying to destroy their homes, they try to control Artyom's mind and throw him off the tower, as we navigate a mental maze of illusions created by the Dark Ones. At the end of navigating the labyrinth, Hunter confronts us and hands us a revolver, and reminds us of his motto.
If it's hostile, you kill it.
We fire at the Dark One and are given a choice. Let it die and kill all the Dark Ones, or destroy the missile console and allow them to live. The canonical ending is the destruction of the Dark Ones, leading into the events of the second game, Metro Last Light, and to be honest, I think it's a fitting end to a game steeped in so much desperation and horror, that even when given a sliver of salvation, humanity will still choose destruction. No matter where humanity dwells, they will never tire of war and suffering. So there we have Metro 2033, a game I like to go back to every so often, just because it's so different from a lot of other shooters out there, and the environment, the setting, playing in a different country in a post-apocalyptic world, it's so different from anything out there, even games like Fallout, that I genuinely love going back into the tunnels just to see what mischief I can get into. Now, I'll be the first to admit this game isn't perfect. I myself, when playing one level in particular, kept running into a glitch where whenever I put the night vision goggles on, I couldn't use my guns, I couldn't use my items or anything. And although the Redux version which I was playing had ironed out a lot of the kinks with the stealth and some of the gameplay mechanics, there are still problems here and there. However, some of the set pieces in this game in particular, even though it's very linear, are fantastic. Sneaking around the library trying not to be pummeled to death by these massive, intimidating enemies that are really hard to kill. Exploring the dead city, being constantly aware of how much air you're breathing, all the monsters that surround you, how much ammo to use. Some of the haunted tunnels are just eerie and brilliant. There's even a section where one of the stations gets overrun with monsters and you have to be careful walking through this recently bustling city, now full of corpses, not to fall into pitfalls that instantly kill you, or be attacked by these really quick and agile but really annoying enemies, and it's just fantastic. So if you want to try an FPS that's a bit different from the norm, is quite reasonably priced these days. I think I picked the remaster up for about £6, has stealth sections, action sections, new enemies you'll have never fought before, environments you'll have never explored before, plus some pretty interesting mechanics like air filter conservation and ammo scrounging in a world that's completely different to anything you've ever played before. Try out Metro 2033. I love it. I've been playing it since I got it on the 360 years ago, and I still regularly come back to play it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.